we would see people not condemning Hamas, but celebrating, justifying, and cheering on a massacre of Jews.
In the thick of rehearsals for Romeo plus Juliet, so I'm going to get out of here. Bye for now. The Friday Story notes how a couple of minutes after posting this, she replied to her own tweet and wrote, "And always remember, free Palestine."
Here's the thing. However much you tried to avoid it before, even if speaking up wasn't really your thing, none of us can ignore the explosion of Jew hatred around the world anymore.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
Zegler is a loudmouth dope.
Right, we're talking about ultra-far leftists, people who believe that men and women are a figment of your imagination, that your money is not your own, that your family is not your own, and that your country is not your own. That's what woke me.
Snow White, of course, famously played by the insufferable girl boss narcissist, who's just clinical at this point.
Now, there is no doubt about it that Snow White 2025 is considered by far one of the worst box office failures, not just with Disney, but also in the entire film history.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know those red carpet photos, the ones where everyone looks like they're the best of friends. Well, sometimes those smiles can be seriously deceiving. Remember that picture of Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, arm in arm, all smiles for the cameras. They looked like the picture of camaraderie to talented actresses ready to bring a beloved fairy tale to life. Turns out, the rumor mill went into overdrive saying that behind those picture-perfect moments, there was some serious ice brewing. Whispers even claimed things got so tense on the set of Disney's Snow White that they had to bring in extra security measures, a highly unusual step for a Disney production, and even undertake costly reshoots of scenes. What was really going on between these two? This story has become one of the most talked about dramas in Disney's recent history, and today we're digging into the alleged clash between Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. On the surface, everything looked rosy. Rachel Zegler, fresh off the buzz of West Side Story, and the established star power of Gal Gadot seemed like a dream pairing. They graced prestigious events together, presented at the 2025 Oscars, and looked glamorous in every carefully orchestrated photo op, the whole Hollywood package. But according to numerous insiders, behind the scenes, things were far from harmonious. Reports started surfacing about a growing tension between the two actresses. Now, while we won't delve into any specific personal beliefs or political stances, it's been widely reported that differing perspectives created an initial divide. Imagine the atmosphere on set, the subtle awkwardness during breaks, the difficulty in finding common ground when fundamental viewpoints clash. Sources suggest this difference in viewpoints created an atmosphere of discomfort, particularly for Gal Gadot, given her background. Disney, understandably, was reportedly on edge, hoping to avoid any public fallout that could jeopardize their massive investment in this iconic property. Speaking of investment, Disney was really betting big, like astronomically big, on this Snow White remake. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, reportedly somewhere between $270 and $370 million just for production, poured into production and marketing, aiming to revitalize a timeless classic for a new generation. This was supposed to be a guaranteed hit, right? Snow White is Disney's oldest fairy tale. But when the movie finally hit theaters, it didn't exactly land. The box office numbers were shockingly low, with the opening weekend falling far below expectations, and the critical reception was overwhelmingly negative, with some sites even showing it with incredibly low ratings. You saw the headlines, the memes, it became a major talking point online, with many labeling it a significant flop and questioning the return on Disney's massive investment. This disappointing performance only seemed to amplify the existing rumors of behind-the-scenes drama, making people wonder if the tension on set played any role in the final outcome. Adding another layer to this complex situation were comments reportedly made by Rachel Zegler about the original 1937 Snow White film. Now, while creative interpretations are common in remakes, some of her remarks allegedly didn't sit well with fans of the classic. There were reports of her calling the original movie weird and even suggesting the prince was a stalker, citing the focus on their love story as problematic. She reportedly emphasized that this new version aimed to fix outdated stories and portray Snow White as a leader, not someone dreaming of true love or being saved by a prince. Imagine hearing the star of a remake openly criticize the very source material that so many people hold dear. This sparked a considerable backlash online, with many Disney loyalists expressing their fury and questioning why she would even take on the role if she felt that way about the original. This public criticism of a beloved film likely didn't help the overall atmosphere surrounding the production. And you can imagine how a co-star, especially one stepping into such an iconic franchise, might perceive such statements. The controversies didn't stop there. Remember the buzz around the reimagining of The Seven Dwarfs. Disney initially faced criticism from Peter Dinklage regarding stereotypical portrayals, leading them to replace the dwarfs with CGI magical creatures.
They just got rid of the dwarfs, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why
now,
would they
too?
get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the character.
This decision, while intended to be progressive, ironically angered some people with dwarfism who felt it eliminated potential roles that should have gone to actors of their stature. Then there was the reported explanation for why Snow White is called Snow White in this version, not because of her fair skin, but because she and her family survived a snowstorm, making it a mark of her resilience. These changes, while perhaps intended to modernize the story for contemporary audiences, further alienated some longtime Disney fans and added to the growing list of talking points surrounding the film, potentially creating more friction within the cast and crew who were trying to navigate all this public scrutiny and negative attention. As all these issues seemed to pile up, the press tour and media events reportedly became incredibly awkward. Eyewitness accounts suggest that Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler barely interacted, maintaining a noticeable distance from each other. When they did have to appear together, it looked strained and forced, with a palpable lack of genuine warmth. Online observers became like detectives, meticulously scrutinizing every photo and interview for any hint of underlying tension, a forced smile here, a subtle eye roll there, a lack of eye contact. Then came a moment that really set the internet ablaze. Rachel Zegler reportedly posted a thank you message to almost everyone involved in the film, the director, the crew, other cast members, but conspicuously omitted Gal Gadot's name for many fans. This was seen as a blatant snub, a clear indication of the animosity behind the scenes, adding serious fuel to the feud rumors. There were also reports, though unconfirmed, of Rachel once referring to Gal as a pageant queen, which many interpreted as a dismissive and disrespectful remark. While Gal Gadot herself never publicly addressed the rumors or criticized Rachel, insiders claimed she felt betrayed and increasingly exhausted by the constant negative press and even reported online threats that were somehow linked to the highly publicized situation behind the scenes. You can only imagine the tense and worried conversations happening among studio executives. When a film with this much riding on it faces so many public controversies and performs so disastrously at the box office, everyone starts looking for answers and assigning blame. While we can't know for sure what was said in those closed-door meetings, reports suggest that there was significant concern about how the situation was handled and the potential long-term impact on the careers of those involved. In the end, despite all the drama and negative press, Snow White did eventually get released, but the audience reaction was Overwhelmingly underwhelming, there's even a widely circulated and frankly quite uncomfortable video that allegedly shows Rachel Zegler sitting alone in a nearly empty theater to watch her own movie with a caption referencing her past statement about audiences always lining up for her. The stark contrast between that confident statement and the desolate reality was quite telling and became a symbol of the film's failure. Meanwhile, in a stark comparison, another movie, Minecraft, reportedly made more money in its opening weekend in the US than Snow White managed to earn globally after 3 entire weeks in theaters. You can just picture the palpable unease and profound disappointment surrounding the entire project. Reports even suggest that Disney, in damage control mode, assigned a social media monitor to Rachel and that producers had multiple serious conversations with her about the critical need for neutrality in her public statements, but by then, the damage to the film's reputation and the potential relationships within the cast may have already been irreparable. So, why couldn't Gal Gadot reportedly stand Rachel Zegler? While we're meticulously focusing on the reported events and avoiding any personal opinions or political commentary, it seems to boil down to a rather unfortunate confluence of factors. There was reportedly an initial difference in perspectives that created an underlying tension and made collaboration on set difficult. Then came the highly publicized public criticism of the original film, a move that likely didn't sit well with someone like Gal Gadot, who was also deeply invested in bringing this classic story to a new audience. The seemingly endless string of controversies surrounding the movie, from the casting choices to the changes in the storyline, coupled with the undeniably disastrous box office performance, likely contributed to a strained and uncomfortable atmosphere for everyone involved. And finally, the alleged public snubs, the reported pageant queen comment, and the overall lack of acknowledgement seemed to solidify any negative feelings and created a narrative of a significant behind-the-scenes clash. This whole Snow White saga serves as a stark and cautionary tale about the delicate complexities of filmmaking in the modern age and how behind-the-scenes dynamics, even without delving into specific personal beliefs, can sometimes spill out into the public eye with dramatic consequences and significantly impact a project's overall success and reception. What do you guys think about this whole situation? Were you surprised by the reports of tension on the set of Snow White? Do you think the behind-the-scenes drama contributed to the film's poor performance? Let us know your thoughts and theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the alleged Hollywood drama and the unraveling of a major Disney project, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more behind-the-scenes stories and entertainment news. Thanks so much for watching.